He got me in the eye.
Jerry. Stop it, Jerry. Now we'll get your doctor. We will.
What kind of a doctor? You're going to the undertaker.
I'll get your doctor. I swear on Mama's grave, I'll get your doctor.
Come on, let's get him out of here. Get him in the car.
3 hoodlums held up a factory, killed 1 watchman, gunned down another. We found their abandoned car the next day. Blood on the seat sent us out checking the hospitals for a wounded bandit. My name is Frank Ballinger, Detective Lieutenant, M Squad, a special detail of the Chicago Police.
Any luck?
Nothing. All the gunshot wounds in the Chicago hospitals in the past 2 days have been accounted for.
Well, the guy had to have been hurt pretty bad.
Well, from the amount of blood on the seat, I'd say so, too. The watchman come up with anything yet?
Yeah, one possible. This guy.
Marty Lance, of course.
And there were 2 others, too.
You know, Marty had a brother who was breaking in, Jerry Lance. Here, take a look at this. What about this guy? Do you recognize this man?
Yeah, you bet your life. That's the one who was screaming, "My eyes, I'm blind." I must have hit him in the eye.
Come on, Jerry Lance.
Kiefer.
Excuse me. What about him?
That's right. How'd you know?
Well, they pulled the same kind of a stunt about 6 months ago. That time they got away with it. We didn't know they were back in town.
I sure hope you get him. That partner of mine was a wonderful guy. I worked with him for 10 years. He's got 3 kids.
It's kind of a tough break. Well, they can't move too fast with a wounded Betty.
He was yelling about his eyes. You say you shot him in the eye?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Okay, thanks very much for coming down.
Frank. The missing persons report came in about a half an hour ago. About an eye doctor reported missing. Dr. Elliot Conan. Walked out in the middle of an operation and never came back.
And Jerry Lance was hit in the eyes, huh?
Right.
Could be a coincidence.
Oh, sure, it could be. Man could be an amnesia victim, or he might have private troubles of his own and just decided to disappear. Like that millionaire we found last week. But if you were on the lam for a murder rap and you couldn't show your face in a regular hospital, you were about to lose the sight of both eyes if you didn't get treatment, what would you do?
I'll check Dr. Conan's private hospital right away.
Marty Lance and John Kiefer had kidnapped Dr. Conan to force him to operate on Jerry Lance's eye, there was not much chance that we'd get him back alive. Their records included crimes of the most vicious nature. It was likely that after they forced the doctor to do what they wanted, they would not allow him to stay alive so that he could put the finger on them. At Dr. Conan's private hospital, I ran into a situation that complicated the kidnapping even more. Conan had been operating on Patty Blocker, a 9-year-old girl, the day he disappeared. If Dr. Conan did not return to complete the operation, Patty would be blind for the rest of her life.
It's all here in yesterday's newspaper, all about Patty and her operation.
A good time to give an eye surgeon publicity. His name, face, hospital, everything here except his shoe size. Is it possible that Dr. Conan could have been called out on an emergency without you knowing about it?
No.
Well, did you see him leave?
Well, no, I was out of the office, but only for a few minutes.
But it's possible he could have left.
Yes, but he would have left a message. I know. I've worked for Dr. Conan for 5 years. He wouldn't just walk out. The mother of the girl he was attending is here right now. Would you like to talk to her?
Yes, I think I better.
Right this way. Mrs. Blocker. Lieutenant Ballinger from the police department. He'd like to talk to you.
Oh?
Mrs. Blocker, I understand that you were with Dr. Conan just before he left. Well, could you tell me what happened?
Well, you see, Dr. Conan asked me to wait in the office while he redressed Patty's eye. I couldn't watch it, so he said I could wait out there.
Go on.
While I was waiting, 2 men came in and asked to see the doctor. I told them he was busy, and they waited out in the corridor. Then when he came out, they went over to him and started to talk excitedly. The doctor kept shaking his head. About that time, I went in to see Patty. All I heard the doctor say was, "I can't leave the hospital now." I think he said it a couple of times. That's all. He never came back.
Did you get a good look at these 2 men?
I wasn't paying much attention.
When will Dr. Conan be back?
We don't know for sure.
Lieutenant, I've tried not to get too upset for Patty's sake, but something's terribly wrong with Dr. Conan, isn't it?
Well, we really don't know, Mrs. Blacker.
But the very fact that you're here, that you're investigating, means that something's terribly wrong.
All we know is that Dr. Conan disappeared yesterday and he hasn't come back. Now, he might have a good explanation for it. On the other hand, he might be in serious trouble.
He's got to be back within the next 24 hours.
Well, isn't there some other way to treat your daughter? I mean, some other doctor that could complete what Dr. Conan started?
Dr. Spencer, he's our doctor in Enid, Oklahoma. He said the only hope for Patty's sight was Dr. Conan. The people took up a collection. They paid our way here to see him.
Mrs. Blocker, can you come down to the station with me and look at some photographs?
All right. I'll be with you in just a minute.
I'll wait outside.
Mister, what's your name?
Frank. Frank Ballinger.
What do you look like?
Well, I'm afraid you'd be disappointed, Patty. Well, sort of ugly. Well, nurse, what's wrong with the little girl's eyes?
Well, it's a little complicated to explain. She had a very severe operation. She's had the first part. She's due for the second part tomorrow.
Well, supposing the doctor's not back tomorrow.
Oh, he has to be back tomorrow. The chances of her seeing grow smaller every hour.
Well, couldn't some other doctor complete the operation for him?
Dr. Conan is using a new technique. It's his own development. If someone else were to take over for him now, it would be hopeless. She'd be totally blind. You see?
Bye, honey.
Okay, come on, Doc. Now, what about his eyes? No more double talk.
There's no double talk to it. Your brother needs an operation, and it's not merely a matter of saving his eye.
What do you mean?
Infection has already set in. Now, antibiotics are good as far as they go, but he needs an operation.
So you operate?
Yes, but not here.
Why not here? Here is where we are, Doc.
Your brother will have to be taken to a hospital.
Oh, now, Doctor, you must be kidding, aren't you? Or do you know a hospital where a guy who's wanted for murder would be safe?
He needs a hospital. I couldn't do it here.
Why not? What are you, fancy? You want us to go outside in plain sight or something like that, huh?
Why can't you do it here?
It's too complicated for local anesthetic. He will require complete anesthesia and an anesthetist.
Doc, you may be right, but I got a feeling you're doing that operation right here. Got the interests of humanity at heart. You'll figure something out. I got a feeling you will. Right here.
Marty?
Yeah, kid. Marty.
Mrs.
Blocker, we realize that you didn't get a good look at these men, but see if you recognize any of these photographs.
I'll try. I'm sure this is one of the men. I think this could be the other.
What about this one?
No, not him.
Jerry Lance was the man that was hit.
Who are these men?
The names are Marty Lance and John Kiefer.
You said this one was hit.
Mrs. Blocker, we have to be honest with you. We have reason to believe this man received a gunshot in one of the eyes. Now, these other two men are fugitives. They're the two men that you saw in Dr. Conan's office. Obviously, they were there to get the doctor to treat Jerry Lance's wound.
They'll let him go, won't they?
I don't know what they'll do. They're desperate and they're fugitives.
They wouldn't hurt a man like Dr. Conan.
Well, I certainly hope not for his sake, as well as your daughter's. Look, I'll get the men to take you back to the hospital.
Thank you.
And George, you take her back to the hospital, please. Two desperate murderers were holding a noted eye surgeon prisoner somewhere in a city of millions, and we had to find them within 24 hours. If we didn't, a little girl would never have a chance to see again. We put out an all-point bulletin with complete descriptions of the Lance brothers and Kiefer. Every department was alerted to the need for the immediate safe return of Dr. Conan. Eight hours went by without a lead. Finally, we had no choice but to start in again at the beginning and question the principles all over again. Davis?
You heard anything?
Oh, nothing yet. Miss Davis, this is Captain Gray.
How do you do?
The reason we asked you down here is we thought you might have some more information than we might have missed the first time we talked to you. Won't you sit down, please?
Thank you. Mrs. Blocker told me who those two men are. Please, you've got to do something. Dr. Conan may be in terrible danger.
Well, we're doing everything we can.
Well, Dr. Conan will be all right for a while. If our thinking is correct, they need him pretty badly.
And that's why you might be able to help us.
How? Anything?
Well, I don't know too much about eye surgery, but I'm sure that it's not done with a kitchen knife or bourbon for an anesthetic, correct?
Oh, it's the most delicate of all operations.
How much of an operation could the doctor commit with that little stuff that he carries in his little kit?
Not much. Just the first emergency procedures.
That might be our one break.
How do you mean? Do you know the extent of the man's injury?
No, but we know Jerry Lance. He's tough. Those three men with him are hot. Now, if Jerry has to holler for help, he's in pretty bad shape.
What are the basic essentials needed for an eye operation?
Well, he might possibly get by with what he has, except
Except what?
an anesthetic. He'd have to have an anesthetic.
Which means that they'd have to take over some medical supply house or else move this stuff to where they're holed up, right?
Yes. He'd want fluothane.
Fluothane? What's that?
Well, it's an anesthetic. It's fairly new, but Dr. Conan always insists on it.
Well, where do you get this fluothane?
At a medical or chemical supply house. Not all of them carry it.
Well, the harder they have to hunt for it, the better. Would you write that name out for me, please? Then I'd like you to go home and stay by your phone, please.
Why?
Well, remember that tab that we put on your telephone? We have all the hospitals covered, but they might try to contact you directly. And if they do, keep them talking as long as possible. That gives us a chance to trace the call. Do you understand? All right, we'll contact all the medical supply houses. If anybody tries to get a gas machine, we'll give it some time to do something about it.
You will let me know if anything happens.
Oh, of course.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming down.
Walker? Yeah, Captain Gray. Want you to get out a bulletin to all medical centers, hospitals, surgical supply houses, and sick rooms. Yeah, if anybody comes in asking for a thing called fluothane.
Fluothane. We put 20 men on it immediately. Every medical supply or chemical house that might carry the anesthetic was contacted personally by either myself or one of our men. All sales and executive personnel were given the entire rundown on what to do in case an order came in, legitimate or otherwise. It was our one reasonable hope of establishing contact with Dr. Conan, and it depended on getting information to the right people before the wrong people got to them.
Now, this is what I'll need. A tank of oxygen and one of fluothane.
That last thing, say that again, Doc.
Fluothane,
What do you know what that stuff is? You can't even pronounce it.
Shut up, Kiefer.
I tell you, he's stalling. He's been stalling for hours.
No, I haven't.
He's probably got something right there in that bag that he could put Jerry out with plenty good enough.
We've been back and forth over this point. You went to a lot of trouble getting yourself an expert. Now, if you're going to take Kiefer's word against mine, why don't you let him perform the operation?
Now, don't go pouty on me, Doc.
Force me to attempt this without adequate anesthetic, and your brother will lose his eye, if not his life. Your threats don't make any difference. I'm getting sick and tired of telling you that. If I were you, Marty, I'd make up my mind.
Okay, the anesthetic. But must you have this?
Unless you or Kiefer want to take the responsibility every time Jerry stops breathing.
Why don't you listen to me? Don't you see he's using his science hocus pocus to get us outside? He's trying to finger us.
That's a chance we have to take. Jerry'll die unless he gets this. Can't you get that through the thick head of yours?
Listen, I'm not so thick. If that was me laying there instead of your brother, you wouldn't be so anxious to go outside. You'd put me right out of my misery. Look, you use sleeping pills, you understand? That'll put him right out. But you're not getting that other stuff.
Keep your hands off the doc. Jerry needs that stuff, and I'm going to get it. Kiefer, you're in the way. You're really in the way.
Oh, it was for your own good, Marty. I was thinking of you as much as for me. I was thinking of all of us. You got to use your head, Marty. Look, couldn't you maybe phone instead of walking into some place where you'd be wide open? If you phone, you could see if they sounded suspicious.
You have something there. Anything wrong with that?
Just get me the anesthetic. I don't care how.
Watch the doc. Keep your hands off.
Our men had covered a lot of territory, but the only thing that was happening was that it was getting later. I had checked on the sale of an oxygen gas machine to a hospital on Lake Shore and a respirator rented to an old lady on Sutton, but both were legitimate. Finally, I headed back to the office, but first there was one stop that I wanted to make. Dr. Conan's hospital, where little Patty Blocker waited patiently for the return of the man who was to make her see again.
And I can brush my hair just by the feeling of it. Mother always puts the dishes in the same place, so I can find them and help set the table.
You know, that's very good, Patty, but... Well, when you get a new place like this, how do you manage?
I remember things. The water's right here. The radio's over here. And here's my nurse's bell. But don't think I'm counting on staying this way. Dr. Conan's going to make me see again.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Hi.
They had strawberry, honey.
Is there enough for all of us?
Well, I think you better count me out, Patty. I have to get back to the station.
Lieutenant, there's a call for you. They say it's urgent.
Ballinger.
Oh, Frank, this may be it. The owner of Oxy Sales and Service at Margarine and LaSalle just took an order to deliver an oxygen gas machine and a bottle of fluothane. No, he's on the other line now.
Who ordered it?
A man was phoned in.
Okay, tell him to follow through. Load the equipment on the truck, but do not deliver it. And tell the owner I'm on my way.
Right. I'll meet you there.
He just didn't sound legitimate to me.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, he pronounced the words as if he'd rehearsed them. He didn't seem to understand what they meant.
Well, he gave you an address. Did he say anything else?
Not much. He seemed in a hurry to get off the phone. I told him it was pretty late to make a delivery, but he said he'd pay extra. Just get it there.
Do you happen to have a set of company coveralls that would fit me?
Come with me.
The fluothane would be delivered as ordered, but delivered by me. With Dr. Conan inside the house, if this was the house, we couldn't take the chance of storming the place in force.
Is he alone?
Yeah, he's alone. One dumb truck driver. Hey, you. Hey, Oxy Sales.
Huh?
You got the wrong address. That thing goes over here.
Oh, it goes up here, doesn't it?
No, in here.
Oh, good. I didn't want to have to carry up all them steps. You know, this stuff's pretty heavy. Hey, when are we going to have any trouble getting this stuff in there?
What do you mean?
Well, I got a lot of the heavy stuff, you know. How's the door? Wide enough?
Hey.
You just went in. We got 20 seconds.
Right in here.
Oh, you the doc?
Yes.
You want to step out here and take a look at this equipment?
Who is this wise guy? Who are you?
Hold it! Right there, Keeper. I mean it. Now throw that gun down.
I better get the doc down to that little girl, Frank.
Yeah, make it quick.
Come on, Doc.
Ben, get his gun and get him out of here.
Marty? Marty?
No, I'm Lieutenant Dollinger.
Well, you're just in time, Lieutenant.
Mama? Oh, Mama. I can see everything so clear.
Oh, that's wonderful, baby. Wonderful.
Frank? Frank?
Hiya, sweetie.
Frank, why did you say you were ugly when you're so beautiful?
For the doctor operated on Jerry Lance with such skill that Jerry will be able to see everything that happens when he, his brother, and Kiefer are tried for murder by the people of the city of Chicago.